Okay, great. Well, we'll go through the announcements, and then we will build the agenda. So, Cindy has an announcement. Well, so Ben has an announcement. The Case Center in Kalamazoo is putting on a presentation. It's our keynote for the year, and it's called "You Can Fix Racism." It's a 10-point plan, 5 points for white people, 5 points for people of color. Not easy. And the point of it is to laugh and to have a comfortable conversation about it, because people cramp up. So I'll pass around just one flyer. There's also one in the bathroom to read. So Cindy has an announcement.
Hi, I'm Cindy from the basic Muskegon Midland area. This is our new logo we just came up with, and Eric made us some t-shirts so we could walk in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. And I don't have anything to hand out to you. Well, I guess I got our trifold that I have enough of to give away if anybody really wants it. But what I wanted to show you was one of our members is really into flyers. So he's made this one called "I Believe in Capitalism. Why Should I Occupy?" And it's a trifold, like that, with that much information on it. And this one says, "I'm a local business owner. Why should I occupy?" Same deal.
Cool.
This one says, "I'm a religious person. Why should I occupy?" And this one says, "I'm a college student. Why should I occupy?" And we're trying to hand these out to people that it's pertinent to. And part of the reason is we want to develop a business directory where local businesses let us list them in a directory that we can hand out, maybe like a one-page thing. We haven't worked out any of the details. And they don't necessarily have to support Occupy, but we support them. And we're talking about maybe cash mobs and stuff like that. We don't know yet. Talk. So we have an information table at Delta College, our community college, and we pass out a lot of flyers. And so I just wanted to, I wondered if you wanted me to just pass them around so you could look at them if you're interested in making some of your own. But I didn't make enough to give anybody. And also we ran into a lot of drama, So we made this covenant. And it's kind of like everything else that you see, but and the consequences of breaking the covenant we won't delete any posts, but the administrator will say, "Please take this to a private message or your post will be hidden." And the only really bad thing that will happen when people get snarky with each other is repeated violations of the covenant may lead to General Assembly action, which leaves us wide open to kick them out or whatever we feel, is necessary, because we're hoping people just abide by it, on their own. So that, and let's see, I have something else to say. I was asked to find out if anybody has any specific remedies for people that feel that their Occupy has been hijacked by the Democratic Party. So, if anybody, I've talked to a few people about it, but I didn't really get into
I did talk to her a little bit earlier.
So if anybody wants to talk to me, my name is Cindy. So, do you want to... Oh, and here's one more flyer. This is good for like this. "Hi, I'm with Occupy." Snap, and they keep walking. And all it has is our email address, an information line, and our link to Facebook. That's all it's got on it. It looks like $1.
Very nice.
So,
People respond to it.
so that's all. Yes.
I really like those trifold posters that you have. Is there a website that we can go to find and print out?
Our group space has the documents on to download. So I guess you could go join our group space, but I think it's only cumbersome to use. Let me make sure that now we trust it. I could.
I think that's really clever like that.
Well, here, just.
Can you guys touch base about this after this?
Yeah, I guess group space is written on these, so here.
There's a copy machine upstairs.
All right, I'm just going to go bam.
So,
I don't need this back. I just don't have enough room. Thank you.
we're going to begin a four-part series of a phone seminar with Steve Metcalf. Steve Metcalf was a Wall Street regulator during the 1980s for Bear Stearns. His last case he walked away from was the beating case of the 1980s on Wall Street. So anybody who knows about that knows that was a crazy deal. He did that and then also worked in foreign affairs for the government. He's going to begin a four-part series from 1913 on up on the banking industry and how it's affected the economy and the way things are coming. So it's going to be April 5th at 8 p.m. Check on the Jews Facebook page. We got an event on there. Or else I've got just about everybody's email, so I'll probably do a little newsletter out to everybody about it. So just wanted to bring that up. It should be pretty cool. That's all.
Thanks, Chris.
Mine? Thanks, Benjamin, right?
Yep.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm Dan from Occupy Muskegon, and I was just going to make the announcement. It's a follow-up from the last time we got together. Then I was letting you know that we were having a party at Dreamers, and we've done this before. It started out as kind of a fundraiser, also a warm meal. It was a potluck for the campers, the people who were spending the time out in the wilderness, out in the wild, out in the cold and the weather. Anyway, what it's turned into is just kind of a celebration for us, and we did generate revenues, even though that's not even on our mind while we're there. It started out again as inviting musical performers to come in, also opening the mic for any Occupy members who might have talent or the ambition or the desire to read poetry or perform with musical instruments or something like that. When it has become more and more, we still have performers coming in, entertainers coming in and performing. More of us have gotten together and actually collaborated rather than standing up there and doing solo, kind of a lonely sort of a thing, just the microphone all by ourselves. What we're doing is getting together, and a number of us have never done this before in public, and none of us have ever worked together before, like trying to harmonize and put musical instruments together, and it was just a whole lot of fun. And we do have some stuff online. I don't know if it's been linked to our Facebook page yet, unless you did it.
I did.
Did you? Good. Okay, so it's linked to our Facebook page. If you are willing to take a look, see some of the fun we've been having, and we'll hope that you'll come to the next one. We do one maybe every month, 6 weeks or so. Thank you.
Your address?
Oh, go ahead.
The address? It's at Dreamers.
Dreamers is downtown Muskegon, but we're on the Facebook page, and you'll see details there. Occupy Muskegon on Facebook, yeah. Cool. Thanks.
I just want to again invite everyone to come to the next Inner Occupy in Lansing. It's going to be Tuesday, April 17th. A lot of the details are in flux, but they'll be up soon on our website. It's going to be starting at the Capitol building at noon. There'll definitely be a general assembly in the library at 7. And it's going to culminate in a big dance party on the Capitol steps, close to like when the police would normally want to kick us out. So around 10ish.
Yeah, cool.
So just check the website for more up-to-date information.
Like a naked dance party?
Is that in conjunction with the Free the Weed demonstration on that day?
The what, pardon?
There's a big, huge statewide Free the Weed demonstration at the Capitol on the 17th.
You know what time that is?
I think it's noon to 4, noon to 6.
On the 17th?
What? On the 17th.
Okay, I guess we're kind of...
Woo! Big dance party.
So let's build the agenda. If you have an agenda item, let's start with proposals first. And then when you shout out an agenda item, please say a time that you think it'll take and be realistic as well at that time. And this also, who are you?
I'm Judge. I'm going to help him focus all day.
So agenda items.
I'd like to hear Chris talk about the media. And so I don't know how long it'll take Chris to talk about that.
Bring that up for everybody.
Thanks.
How long do you think, Chris?
10 minutes. For any Q&A, if we have that. That shouldn't take that long. I brought it up.
Should we start with a round robin of who's represented here?
Yeah,
Wanna
I
do that?
think that sounds nice.
What else? Yeah, if anything, people have proposals preferably, but. All right, what else?
I'd like to hear Chris talk about interoccupied.
It's the Chris Show.
I feel bad I missed the last call.
That's
We all did.
Well, and that's for Interaccupy. I can definitely do announcements and I'll put that in the newsletter
Okay.
for all the upcoming calls. I don't want to keep going too long.
Do we want to plan the next Interaccupy now? We discussed that we would try to get on the east side. Are we able to discuss that?
We have a news representative.
UU Church in Midland, Michigan is open for a summit. I just would have to verify the date with.
Sorry, should we add this to the agenda?
Yeah, put it
Does
close
it get a
to
turn?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, not really. Okay. 10 minutes? PGA stuff? I don't know. Come on.
If it's wide open, I have an idea. I'd like to have us talk about, like, say, maybe principles that the groups operate under. Now, we heard some ideas over here, and so I was just thinking about some principles that maybe the groups have decided to operate under in order to preserve the movement, preserve the group, that sort of thing.
Is it a proposal or more discussion based?
Is that what we're doing? We're just proposing ideas for the agenda?
That sounds like either right now. So.
Say it again?
Oh, either discussion items or proposals.
Yeah, a discussion item I would like to talk about and hear what your ideas are on principles.
Sorry, my handwriting's not very good.
Okay.
Time for that? No. How long do people want to spend on that?
Me?
20 minutes, maybe?
Yeah.
Just 20 minutes. Can I get some critical positives or negatives? Community discussion. Can everyone read this?
No, but if you can, that's the most important thing.
How long, Judge? 10. Great.
So it's for discussion or proposal items at this point?
I guess the PGA, Occupy PGA thing.
How long should we spend on that?
Just be like.
Alright, it sounds like we should start. So let's just do a quick round robin. Your name, pronoun, and what occupy you're representing, or something else. Pronoun is like he, she, it's your gender identity. So we know, like, I agree with what he said. We're like,
You want to say?
so I'm Benjamin. I go by male pronouns, and I'm from Occupy Western Michigan University.
I'm Judge. I'm from Occupy Grand Rapids. I don't use pronouns.
That's helpful.
Yeah, it's not.
That's helpful.
I'm opposed to gender.
My name is Zach. I'm male identified from Grand Rapids.
My name is Anna Flora. I'm from Occupy the Dumpster. I'm from Occupy Grand Rapids, and I just go by Hey You.
I'm Diane. I'm from Occupy Grand Rapids, and just don't call me at all.
It can be funny, but also, like, for people that are transgendered or trans-identified, it is, like, a really rough life. So I think as a welcoming space, we should make an effort to, like, assume that we don't know people's gender pronouns. So just putting it out there.
I'm Tom. I'm the director here at Circle Pines, with Occupy Circle Pines, I guess. I'm a he.
My name is Chris. I'm from Occupy Kalamazoo, and I go by Chris Whammer, that guy over there. However, no pronouns.
Andrew, Occupy Grand Rapids. Andrew, Andy, Andrew. Danny, Occupy Grand Rapids. He or they or something.
Ryan, Occupy Kalamazoo.
I'm Barbara. I'm occupying Mountain Free School. Not a sheep.
Raphael, Occupy Lansing. It's fine.
I'm Maddie. I'm from Kalamazoo College, and I go by she.
What? Go by what?
She.
She.
You were in the bathroom.
I'm Jessica, also from Kalamazoo College, and I go by girl pronouns. So.
Hi, I'm Rose. I'm from Occupy Lansing, and I'm she.
I'm Lloyd, Occupy Kalamazoo. Go by Lloyd.
I'm Caroline, Occupy Kalamazoo, and I'm a she.
I'm a girl named Jara from Occupy Detroit.
I'm Norma from Lansing. I go by she.
Yeah, my name's Dan from Occupy Muskegon, and folks keep wanting to call me badass. No, I got that from a movie. Thanks.
I'm Dylan. I'm from Occupy Muskegon. You can call me whatever you want.
I'm Melinda. I'm from Occupy Kalamazoo. I prefer to be called Melinda.
Justin, Occupy Kalamazoo. I'm not easily offended.
Linda, Occupy Lansing, and Humanoid, I believe. So, whatever.
I'm Lee, Occupy Kalamazoo. I'm still a he.
I'm Mandy. I'm from Grand Rapids, and I guess I'll be occupying Circle Pines too. And I could go either way, whatever.
I'm Case from Grand Rapids, and
I'm Cindy from the Tri-City area, and I'm Jordan the girl.
Michelle from Muskegon, she. Shanti Baby from Muskegon, she.
Andrew Levine from Grand Valley, and I am a spirit.
Alright,
We missed two.
Yeah. Joan from Muskegon.
Look out.
Susan from Occupy the Lake Shore. And I'm Neil.
So we're going to start out with the media proposal for, I guess, 10 minutes.
As Shanti mentioned, I also coordinate with cell phone calls on interoccupy.org. It's just a national phone program. One of the fruits that have come from this program
Speak
is...
a little louder, Chris.
All right. One of the things that came from this program is we have a media program in the works right now, which I've spoke to a few people about, and I did bring up briefly at Muskegon. What this media program would be is a collaboration with any occupies that are interested, their communities. We also have contact from a woman named Melissa, who is a representative from Free Speak TV, willing to give us a half-hour time slot. We have a lady named Laura. She has an Occupy in LA, and she's setting up virtual studios for the Occupy movement. She's on board for this project. We also have an individual named Tom Saffold out of Detroit. He's not actually part of an Occupy, but he's been a religious speaker on TV for the last 20 years, and he's helping us put together an enveloping program that would actually use public access to reach 600 regions across the U.S. All this together, we're working on a collaborated effort to make a media program that would go out to the community. How this would work is you would have a three-month window. Oh, and we also have Sue Wilson. she's helping collaborate with us. Sue is an Emmy-winning journalist from 2006, so it's really kind of cool to just have her talking to us about it. What we're talking about is a 3-month program where, for instance, say, Occupy Grand Rapids. How the media program would work is for 3 months we'd open competition out to the public, general public, anybody that's interested for journalism, photography, music, or video, documentary, interview, investigative journalism, however you want to put it. For as long as it's some way geared to socioeconomic injustice, we'll put this up on a centralized website and build this so that people look into their own communities for socioeconomic injustice, whether it be a song that they want to make about it, whether it be some kind of investigative piece that they put together, whether it be a report that they do, even if it's for school or something, if it's useful, if it's about socioeconomic injustice. We're going to give them 3 months to put in on this. Now, how this is going to work is it'll be somewhat incentive-based because we're going to have 2 national programs for airtime through public access and also through free speech. We're going to have Paleo as one of a few radio stations that are going to jump on as a coalition to spread the word for all the journalistic stories that get count. And then on top of that, we have the people from Occupy Studio, etc., that are going to help us actually make a half-hour network program where we'll be putting these stories out to the public through 600 regions on public access that would be a time. So even if people don't have cable, they'll still have access to it. And then also through free speech, which would be, I'm told, a national network. It's on cable somewhere. And then on top of that, centralized through a website where all these stories can go through. We just be going from place to place, 3-month competition. After that, for instance, if it's Occupy GR, then 3 months out to the community, all the general public gets a story. After that, it filters down. We pick up the top 5, top 10. That's still got to be figured out. And then these stories actually get narrated with support from the virtual studio and from some of these people that have these years of experience. We would take a couple people from Occupy GR and they'd actually do a handoff and host that segment. It'd only be 2 weeks apart for the actual segment that's on TV, but then it'd be 4 months of planning. So it'd be 3 months public, 1 month putting the piece together, and then we'll send it through to all 600 regions, free speak, and the internet, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the program right now. I had to meet with somebody last week in Detroit, Thomas, to make sure he was still on board. He's on board, so we're going to be forming it and then reaching out to Occupies and getting it going once we have the templated program in place.
I got a question.
We want to get it by the month of May, like to get the program in place with people that are putting it together and then start putting that out to communities. Probably Michigan is going to be the starting point because it's mostly Michigan people with the exceptions of Melissa and Laura. So we're going to try and get the whole state of Michigan to start first with this and then open it up more nationally.
So the centralized thing where we make your submissions, that will cover the whole state of Michigan. So it isn't like Muskegon has a centralized location where it solicits.
What we would do, there's a couple collaborative ways this is going to work with. One of the people that we're in contact with about it is Occupy.net. They're looking at merging within our Occupy.org, which is the phone conferencing. And if we do that, we're also talking with the media part, like, hey, if we're going to make this huge website, let's go with media on here and then just make a big hub. OWS is actually the ones doing the .net, so that's a conversation. We don't know for sure. We also have OccupyStudios.org, which is the program that Laura out of LA is working on, and we're looking at reformatting that, giving it some extra server space, things like that, to get ready to take all of this.
That's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're about 5 minutes in, or sorry, 6 minutes in. Stack is open. Jump on.
All right. Yeah, I was just going to say it's a great idea, and it's a great idea for us to do on our own, websites and stuff like that, for the very same reason, just to solicit the support and the involvement in the community, and just a place for them to put their stories, and then a place for them to like review and get involved. And so I think that's an excellent idea. You know.
That is one of the plans with Occupy.org, and I would imagine Occupy.net if they sign in as well, is that they're actually writing programming on the website so that if you're doing something on an FLV, if you're doing anything, it doesn't matter what digital format, even if it's something that's from a Chinese factory that's generic, you won't recognize the program, it's going to be completely universally accepted.
Excellent.
So, just I guess clarifying question. Occupy groups could be kind of doing their own media stuff all the time, making their own weekly shows, and then like they can submit their coolest ones to us for the national.
Yep, absolutely. We're just trying to create a hub to get going and then put it through. So, yeah.
I'm a little bit unclear about how it's going to work. Did you say that, for instance, someone writes something and then it ends up being performed by a storyteller? Is that what you said? Or
that part, like I said, we just got all the people agreed that they all want to do it. So we're going. The next steps over this next month is we're all going to start getting in contact and setting up some conferencing and figure out what we want to do with that. And then once that opens, I'm going to put that up to everybody. This is an Occupy thing, everybody all together. So whoever.
I think what Melinda, right? I think that's what she's saying is that you started out with a video. That was the whole idea, was video, right? And now you're bringing on board these other media.
Yeah, originally it was just going to be a video idea,
right.
and it was just
now they're bringing in writing and that sort of thing.
Figuring it out, and it just grew into this.
Good.
Anyone else want to get on step?
Alright, Inter-Occupy, the next Inter-Occupy after the 17th. So, at the last one, people expressed interest in having it on the east side.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure how people want to decide this. The cities want to call out if they want to send, so we can discuss each option.
How far are you sending? Detroit, we have our own building that was donated to us, so. Yeah.
So can someone say what the date of the next Occupy will be? 28. So judges, what we're doing is we're flipping who's taking section of judges and that's facilitating. So is there other cities that also want to call out to have it be on the 28th? Okay, so let's hear what Occupy Detroit can do.
Okay, well, we have a building in Detroit. It's 5900 Michigan Avenue. And it was a building on the southwest side that was donated to us. It was kind of dilapidated when we got it, but the unions pulled together and funded us rehabbing the building. So we've got brand new windows, doors, floors, walls, and everything. It's beautiful now. And that's our Occupy Detroit Community Center. And it's for us to use 24/7, and there's a lot of Occupy people that live upstairs. There's apartments upstairs too, so it's huge, and it would be a great spot to host. Everybody's down for that. And I'm sure there's lots of people, if you need overnight accommodations, that would open up and host, including me.
Wow.
In Britt, 5900 in Michigan, at West Michigan Avenue.
In Grand Rapids, we're having a really big May Day celebration in a park. We have a ton of stuff scheduled, so I'm thinking that I would really like to have it the next Saturday rather than right on May Day weekend, personally, because I think a lot of people in Grand Rapids wouldn't go, because we really have planning this huge event.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We've got tons of events too that week.
That weekend, especially.
Yeah.
So
we have a proposal on the table to move the date. So it's pretty clear what the proposal, the reason for it. Do people have, sorry, brain fart. So can we get a temperature check on if you would like the date to be moved rather than hands down if you don't want to be moved?
What would the date be then?
It would then be the
The 8th? Are we going, one of them's on a Tuesday, are we going Tuesday, Saturday now, or
No,
is that just it?
I got to clarify on that.
Yeah.
So the clarifying on that is the Tuesday was
Next-
an
next
exception.
one. Next one.
It's going to be normally
And
Saturdays.
then we'll go back to
Yeah.
Saturdays again?
And
it'd be the 5th or the 6th.
Cinco de Mayo.
Advancing recall, kickoff is May 5th on Saturday.
So,
And out again.
We have our GAs on Saturdays at noon, and they generally last about 2.5 hours. So that's something to think about too. Would be like with it or after it. After. See what our Detroit folks want to do with that. But
What if it was on this? Oh, sorry, I'm next on stack, right?
That's what I was
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to suggest, I'm all for Detroit. I know that location is really good. We definitely want to do that either next or sometime. But I love the idea of Midland also, because that also, as far as being somewhat easterly, also would be the northernmost that we've attempted, which might be able to get in some of the people from more north. And so I wanted to both. I don't know what order.
Number 3.
Oh, I was just going to ask if to recall Rick Snyder, a friendly amendment to moving it would be then to have it on the Sunday, the 8th. Sorry, not the 6th.
Sunday the 6th.
Yeah, I was putting out a friendly amendment.
What would the natural next?
The next natural one would be the 28th.
Okay. And the concern was that that's
That's our Mayday, big Mayday. Well, IWW and just a lot of events that day. And
We do too. We have a ton of
She has a
events.
ton of events that day. Well, how about that Sunday, the 29th?
Do you want to get on second?
I don't see why not. It just depends on you guys, I guess. If having such a busy weekend and then going all the way to Detroit after a busy weekend, I don't know what the participation would be.
For myself, personal stack. Just personally, I would prefer it to be like the next day instead of like the week.
So I guess maybe we want to decide on that first, the date.
Yeah, that's a good call. So, sorry, I'm ready. Yeah, okay.
Well, I guess first we're going to do Detroit, or if you want to do it.
Well, let's pick the date thing first, because we don't want to confuse the two. So the issue is that May Day is really big weekend for a lot of people. The counter concern is that if we did the following Saturday, there's a Rick Snyder event recalling him. So we could move it to the Sunday, but there's still concerns about getting off schedule. So that's the presentation of the issue. So do we have clarifying questions?
I do have a clarifying question. What is the timing of the Rick Snyder? I assume it's in Lansing at the Capitol, or where is it and what time
It's
is
at the
it?
Capitol from 2 to 5 on
Okay.
May 5th.
So then I guess I would suggest maybe, since people are going to be coming in and flying by for the 2 to 5 thing at the Capitol, that anywhere within 2 hours of Lansing would be a possible point to go for a 7 o'clock GA that same day. Right? Well, if people are coming from Grand Rapids to go to like a big thing in Lansing at 2 to 5, then they're halfway there. They've got the input that's moved up to go on to wherever for 7 o'clock.
That's good,
GA.
sure.
East part.
You're up, Chris.
Oh, no, it's
I'm sorry.
The only thing about Midland is that I can't personally say that we can have it tonight on any date without talking to the church pastor first. So I'm not authorized to say we would love to have it, but I would have to say, you know, if he says no, could we go to Detroit as a second choice? If he decided on Midland. That's my
I was just going to say, if we're going to have a discussion about May Day, and we're trying to gear this kind of around May Day, maybe we should shelve this until we have the May Day discussion.
Good.
Okay, so we're going to table this to discuss as part of the May Day. Which I'm going to say we should bump up and discuss right now while we're on the topic. We have 10 minutes to discuss the May Day. Let's add time for figuring out the inter-occupy. Do we need more than 5 minutes for that?
I would say.
Okay, so we're going to do 10 for that and then another 10 for the inter-occupy. So, I'll be taking stack. Who's presenting on this? Or it's a discussion, so.
All right. The reason I brought up why is just I was just kind of curious what all the May Day plans were that people had going on, because I'm not personally aware of any. And then like what sort of opportunities there would be to collaborate and stuff like that. So stack is up.
So how about process? How about we go around and someone from each Occupy can talk if there is plans for the Occupy? Like we start here and someone from whatever Occupy, they say what that city's plans are and we rotate.
I think stack would be better.
Okay.
What would be better?
Stack.
Oh. I'll go on stack. Muskegon, we have no plans right now.
Get up for Lansing.
We have a caravan from Detroit going to Chicago that day. There's a Detroit City Council meeting that day. Detroit May Day March and Rally. And a General Assembly on that on May 1st.
Which day is that?
That's May 1st.
Oh, maybe we should go to
But it's Tuesday.
I was just going to ditto Muskegon. I don't know of any special.
Just from Grand Rapids, we're doing our May Day thing on that Saturday. And as far as I know, right, Danny, May Day event is on Saturday the 28th.
Yeah, the May Day celebration.
And it's all day long, right?
Yeah.
Right, and it's like 12 to dark, I think. It's as far as Tuesday, I'm not sure. I just know if you schedule an Interact Summit on April 28th, I'm not going because I'm going to our meeting thing that Saturday. I don't know what we have going on.
Just a note that the every 2 week Saturday Interoccupational Summit schedule is set like a while ago. So it's,
I couldn't hear you very well.
oh, the every 2 week Saturday Interoccupational Summit schedule was set like a while ago. So I mean, like the last one was on St. Patrick's Day, which probably hurt our numbers a little bit, but it was also still a unique experience because of that.
There's always really big things going in Chicago because that's where May Day started.
So, if no one else wants to get on the stack about the meetings.
Just on the 28th specifically, it's just our GA at noon. On that exact day.
Well, I suppose temperature check on closing stack on this and moving back to the next thing next summer. Temperature check.
So since we can't confirm Midland, do we want to have that on the books for the following? Would that work?
Then it would give me time to,
Okay.
so for June? Or
Yeah.
late in May?
In May.
Okay,
Okay, what day would that be?
So that would either be
Is that?
the 15th or the 29th, sorry. Well, sorry, I'm wrong.
We haven't decided when.
So it'd be the,
Going to be out.
it'd be the 12th or the 26th.
The 26th has already been
Yeah,
decided.
26th.
PGA.
No, I need a 12 for the.
And when is the NATO thing happening? Is that still the 19th weekend?
Sounds like the 12th.
Okay. Pencil us in.
So back to Detroit on the date.
Well, like I said, on the 28th, exactly on that date, it's just our GA, which is at noon, and that usually lasts about 2.5 hours.
Just a consideration, since the summit includes the GA, would it make sense just to, maybe you guys could not do it that day? But I mean, I don't know, whatever your schedule works
Well, I
out.
can't make that decision for
Yeah.
the whole Occupy Detroit to put off the GA.
Well, I guess it just depends on what else you have planned for that day or whatever, yeah.
I would say, like, I think a lot of.
Number three. Number three. Number two is over there.
On the 5th, on Saturday, the day that's we call, would you mind if it were after the, in the evening after the Lansing thing, or do you want to make it a whole day thing? Does it
Really, I mean,
matter to you?
that would be up to you guys. The only call I can't make is not having our GA or moving the time of our GA or, because that involves a whole lot of people.
So you're saying you can't make the decision on a Saturday inter-occupy?
No, Saturday would be fine.
So May 5th is a Saturday.
Yeah, but if you're saying to put it in the evening, there's no conflict there. I don't see
But in terms of your, normally people try to have actions earlier in the day and get people coming, but a lot of times people only come to the GAs. So do you mind if it's only going to be the GA or a little bit before? Because people are going to do Lansing?
Very confusing.
Is that an issue to you or no?
I mean, I guess that would be up to you guys how involved you want an occupied meeting to be that day.
We have a clarifying question over here.
Maybe it would be your point, but what we have done usually with the summit is that we agreed that the summit would be the next location, and then whatever happens during the day is on that hosting party. So if you would agree to do the summit, whether you guys have the GA during the day or not, that's something that you guys would figure out on your own anyway as the people hosting. So it's kind of, for our part, it's a non-issue. It would be what Detroit wants to do about it.
Okay. Well, I guess I'd have to propose that to them on Tuesday and then send out the result back to you.
What I'm confused. People are talking about different dates now. I'm really confused. I'm hearing the 5th and I'm hearing the 28th. So
That's the question.
That's why we're talking.
So we don't really need to discuss this in this much detail. We should just decide with a temperature check. We have one more person on the staff.
Yeah, thanks, but I just wanted to say that I think it makes a lot of sense to not have the cities like GA dealing with their own city projects and issues and stuff be exactly occupying the same time as the inter-occupy stuff. I think it makes more sense to have those as two separate gatherings in general.
If we're gonna move it to the
We can move it to Sunday.
If we move it to the 5th, can we just have it in Lansing since people will be there? They're gonna be there. So if we're not
And
gonna.
that's two in a row.
Yeah, we're going to
The same old, same old.
No, we can't do that without,
Alright, let's do it. Let's close the stack and then do it temperature.
This is the most crazy.
If people could really use their signals so we could not repeat each other and help them.
Do you want to decide on the date or not?
What are we wanting?
I was just going to say, if it works for Detroit, I think it would make a lot of sense to just move it to the 29th, like the Bush show, because then we're avoiding any conflicts with other events that are going on. And all the May Day stuff can still happen, and then people can show up the next day.
You said move it to what?
To the day after.
29th.
The 29th, Sunday the 29th. And then we'll still be on the same weekly schedule, it just won't be on the Saturday. I don't know.
It may have already been mentioned, but some people know May 5th as Cinco de Mayo.
Number 3.
I'm going to step back because it's been said.
Number 4.
I just wanted to say that there's always going to be, since these are every 2 weeks, there's always going to be some conflict with some Occupy where some members maybe can make it, some members maybe can't make it. I don't think we should be moving the dates around all over the place every time somebody has something that conflicts. I just think we ought to stick to the schedule.
So there was a lot of there was a lot of twinkles for the 29th. So I'm going to do a formal call for consensus. So if you consent, twinkle, and if you block or you disagree, do that. Call for consensus. Great. Is anyone taking minutes?
It's been 10 minutes.
No.
We have filmed. Good job.
Since we started the last one.
No, we're taking
It's being video
Yeah.
recorded, maybe they can get.
Okay. Whoever is, I just want to put out there that for the purpose of future things, if we could have this typed up, so we can have these sort of, we don't have to make the same mistake of discussing things. So, and Claire,
What city is the summit going to be in on April 29th?
Detroit. And then following will be in Midland. Or well, we're hoping the following will be in Midland.
2 weeks later.
That's that little kid, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, good job.
We did it.
Alright, so the next thing for 5 minutes, we're going to talk about the PGA. I think you brought that up.
I was just really trying to get a consensus on what everybody felt about it and how many people are really participating and planning on participating in it, I guess. Both here more than yes. Just want to see how big.
Alright, so I guess somebody you couldn't hear, if you just wondering how many people are planning on participating in Occupy the PGA, can we just do it at twinkles?
All right.
Stacks open. 1.
I don't know how it would work, and I believe we're doing 2 a month. So I mean, I'd kind of be interested in making that the Michigan Interoccupied.
It already is.
Oh, it is okay.
That's great. I don't think I knew that.
What?
That the Occupy the PGA is also the summer.
Oh, cool.
26.
26th is the Interoccupied, then it's 23rd to 27th.
I'm sorry, when is
Occupy the PGA is starting on Wednesday the 23rd. The big day is Saturday the 27th.
The 26th of May is the big day.
And then the Interoccupies on May what?
26th.
You want something else that?
I was just going to say, if anybody has boats or want to coordinate with boats, there's actually a water pass that would get us into the masters when they're shooting. So
Very cool.
if we wanted to say completely piss off the golfers with bullets and fireworks or anything else loud and obnoxious we can think of, if we take a vote, we can actually get right in the middle of the tournament.
I'm confused. I thought we were going to make it so we were big.
I wasn't aware of that, Charlie. Yeah.
Say it again? We can't hear this. There's talk going on.
What was your
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that we were going to stop them from getting in there. The golfers.
Does anyone know?
It's a march from
It's in March, okay.
Well, that's correct.
downtown.
That's the votes.
Clarifying question.
Who? Oh, go ahead.
It's going to be, there's going to be a march, but there's also going to be actually occupying the golf course. So, like, you wouldn't be preventing the golfers from being there, they just wouldn't have a very easy time to do their thing.
All right. So we're going to do something right.
Should we wear a protective face mask for the golf ball?
Helmets.
Catcher's mask.
Was your
Yeah, I just want to know who is actually kind of organizing that event. Who's, who? What? Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you.
I was just going to say that what we can accomplish there largely depends on how many thousands of people we get there. So more the better.
Another question, I could find this outside. I don't want to waste your time. But you mentioned boat, and I was just wondering if something as small as a kayak, on the top of the car would help any,
Even an inner tube, you can be floating on the water.
Yeah.
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 I had my cell phone stack next to does anyone know, what the security at a PGA golf match or game is like? Can we just dress up nice and then, be tight? Does anyone know about how many people get it? Is it like a really selective thing to get admission or tickets?
You have to buy tickets.
So the option of just running onto the course and like a naked person covered in grease that they can't catch.
There's an entrance on the highway, I guess. You can get in there if you really want.
Well, there's the park that's next to it that was part of the park was taken away, and so there's still a small chunk of the previous park. And I believe you can get in through there, and I don't know if you'd actually be able to get into the park itself.
Does anyone else want to get on stack? Does anyone? I thought I heard something about there's some private property that are next to that over the course. Does anyone have more information on that? And then Christian next.
I was just going to say, I know that this event is very nationally heavily PR'd already, so there might be a couple spots like the highway and stuff like that. They're already going to be ready. This is going to have a little more attention than an average golf tournament, so I don't know if those things will be accessible. Just FYI.
Stack is empty.
Actually, it's a question. Has anyone heard if there's any talk of them stepping up security for this event because of this organization of the Occupy coming in? Sweet.
Probably. Anybody else stack questions?
Has anyone been to the protest at the PGA before in here? No? Someone look up information because my friends, you were there last year?
No, well, this golf course didn't really exist last year. This is the first major event they've ever tried to put on.
I think she's saying golf course, just PGA Tour in general.
I've never protested on golf course.
They just had because they had a protest there last year, maybe when they were going to put that in. I'm going to look up some information because someone emailed me about this a couple months ago, so I might have more information.
We're also over our time. Do we want to close stack on this or do you want to create more time? Okay. Twinkles if you want to move on to the next thing. Twinkles if you want to keep talking about this. All right, next thing.
Since I'm facilitating, everyone gets chocolate as usual.
Wow.
Discussing for 20 minutes points of unity.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks. Okay, yeah, that's what we call it, huh? All right. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and I brought this up. I'd like to talk to you, and I'd like to hear your responses on your ideas.
Wait,
maybe.
hold on just a second. And after you present what we're talking about, if anyone has an idea of how best to discuss this, feel free to throw it out.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Benjamin.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, now here's the thing. First, maybe I'll state the problem, and the problem is kind of a surprise to me, and maybe a few of us. When I fell into this Occupy movement, I was all excited and everything like that, and without thinking about it, I was assuming we were all of like mind, and I never for a second considered that we'd have to learn to know each other and get along with each other, you know? And so problems started happening, and I understood that there were problems going on with all the different Occupy groups around, and people were leaving and things like that, and so people were kind of, afraid. We've always been, kind of a little anxious about how well will this movement succeed, That's what we hope it will. Okay, and so anyway, a lot of the things that I've noticed with the Occupy group locally and the other Occupy groups reminds me of the experiences and the people I've met in another program, another movement that I'm a participant in, and that happens to be the Alcoholics Anonymous movement. A lot of similarities. Yeah, in Alcoholics Anonymous, you'll find a lot of very colorful characters, just as you will here. Of course, the mental illness problem isn't so serious here, at least as far as I know. In AA, we find out people who are really challenged, everyone when they come in the doors initially, especially, And so somehow that group had to survive. I mean, this was life and death. And so what that group did was it came up with some principles. Please, I'm sorry. Please, okay, thank you. It came up with some principles to survive by. And these things have worked for 70 years almost. Okay? In spite of the fact that you've got people who are seriously mentally ill when they come in that door. The worst kind of cases that you'd ever expect to find in town are together and working together and surviving and thriving. These aren't regulations. They aren't rules that are enforced. There are no enforcers. It is not an organization. There are no officers. It's not organized. Each group is autonomous. What they have is a set of principles, is all, that we agree to. Each group is totally autonomous, makes up its own rules every single day they get together. But there are principles they try to abide by. And the thing is, what happens if somebody doesn't abide by the principles? The group doesn't survive. The groups that do survive follow the principles, and they're called traditions, and maybe you're familiar, maybe you're not. One of them is there are no membership regulations or restrictions. Now, these principles were built from experience. Now, when the AA movement first started, they tried things did not work. They tried other things that did work, and those became the traditions and the principles. And I want to talk to you about two of them. What I would like to know, our group here has settled on a few. And we have discussions over maybe we'll adopt some of the other ones. I like to see everything through the window of Alcoholics Anonymous because I'm so familiar with it. It doesn't apply entirely. I can't just take everything I've learned in AA and apply it directly to this Occupy movement, but a lot of the things do pertain. Please, I need your interest and your attention because I need your feedback. Thanks. If you will, thanks. I'd like to talk to you about a couple of them. What I'm hoping that we can do, maybe as an inter-Occupy group, is maybe settle and decide on something that does work for all of us. Again, it's principles, not as rules or regulations that have to be enforced, but this is principles. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it can't happen. But the reason for my doing this, again, is just for our own survival, because I think it really depends on us getting along. And so, rather than just saying, okay, we all assume, we all know what the rules and regulations are, we go for consensus. That should be stated explicitly, I think, somewhere, and maybe it is. But I haven't seen it, and I think it ought to be that kind of thing. Now, I have two that I'd like to discuss, I'd like to bring to your attention. And one of them, like I said, is this principle that there are no membership restrictions or regulations. Nobody has to pay dues to belong. Now, here's the thing. In our little group, we may be threatened by somebody who comes in who is known to be a Democratic Party member. Okay? And so we may say, no Democratic Party members in here. Well, then somebody else may say, well, this party's okay, but that party's not okay. You see, what happens is, before you know it, nobody is allowed. And this is exactly what happened with AA, by the way. They say, well, this one over here does cocaine, and we're just alcoholics, that's all. As soon as you start making those restrictions, all of a sudden nobody is a member anymore. They can't be, you see? And so that's the reason for that principle. There are no membership regulations or restrictions. I'm going to give you an extreme example. There was this old guy, and he had head problems, and he'd come in and he'd start talking awful profanity and putting down women and stuff like that. The old guy swing his cane around, and he would hit people once in a while. There are no membership regulations or restrictions. We couldn't get rid of them, you see? But what we would do is, we would have to deal with him every single day he came in that door. And the group would have to do it. The group, okay, we're going to take a vote. What are we going to do about Mike? Well, Mike's going to have to leave. But he was never thrown out of the group. He couldn't be. See, if you're going to abide by the traditions. And so that's one I'd like to have you consider. Because that's caused us some problems. Go ahead, you got a question?
You're talking about code or whatever for inter-occupied?
Principle. What I'd like to know...
for the inter-occupational meetings, you mean?
No, I'm talking about something that... See, here's the thing. When we have a problem in a group, let's say we have a problem, and we have had problems...
Which group
this is what I'm trying to clarify this for you. Okay, and I'm going to try to do it with an example. An example might be, we have a problem here in our little local group. We don't know how to deal with it. Somebody's just split who is a real valuable member. We rely on this person, now they're gone. Because, okay, so I bring it to this big group because, we got more heads involved here. You've maybe had the same kind of problem. Maybe you can solve them. And so that's what we're doing here. Now, here's what I'm trying to say is, if we could come up with a set of principles, maybe, and spell those out, and so like tradition, like, hey, don't you know, we have these traditions, this is how we survive, this is what keeps us together. I was thinking maybe we could get together as a group and just say, hey, these are the principles of the Occupy groups in Michigan, maybe something like that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be wrong.
Okay, that's just...
That's it, yeah. And so I wasn't talking about how do we operate during a meeting. What I was talking about is how do we operate as a group, because the group is so important. Without the group, what are we, all by ourselves? Yeah. And so that was one that I had to consider, no membership regulations or restrictions. And then the other one that I'd like to, hey, what's the next trick? Is I'd like to have you consider this one here, this primary purpose thing. In AA, it's easy for us to get sidetracked and say, okay, hey, we're so good at solving the alcoholism problem. Why don't we deal with, like, say, Overeaters Anonymous too, or Gamblers Anonymous? And the next thing you know, we're distracted all over the place, and we don't do the one thing well. What I was thinking is this other principle we might have is, hey, look, fracking is important, it's cool. Okay, gardening is important, it's cool. What we're all about is getting democracy back to the people. That's our purpose. That's our one purpose, and if it applies to whatever issue you have, we're with you. It's to get the power back to the people. Those two principles I'd like to have you consider. That's all. Thanks.
I'll get a quick question.
No, now I have a statement.
Cool.
I changed it.
Just a note, if you have just a clarifying question, if you throw up a C, it helps us facilitate a little bit easier. And then, I guess we'll stack.
But before we do, I put out there, people have discussion, process ideas of how people want to discuss this. Do people want to just have an open discussion?
Sure.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, with stack.
Do people want staff?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
1, 2.
Okay. I think it's a really important concept that you bring up. I think it's something that people should talk about in their local meetings, that they would have to decide that in their local meetings amongst their local people. But I think it's really important that we do consider talking about those things in our local meetings.
I see value in having a resource to go to when you don't know what to do, because most people are not trained disability rights activists who know how to train other disability rights activists. And let's face it, 1 out of 6 individuals in the U.S. has mental illness. So if we close our eyes to that, we're not going to be able to deal with it. I have provided professional training at this on the Michigan Works Association Conference, the Michigan Rehab Association Conference. I know about it. I have a 4-hour PowerPoint, maybe available on the internet through one of those sources. If it is, I can send it out to you. I'm willing to train anybody who wants to hear about, Tourette's syndrome and OCD and bipolar, and you don't you don't know if somebody has these things, Glenn Close has a great website and YouTube video, Brain Change 2 with the numeral 2 mind, really excellent on this. It takes skills to deal with behaviors, and I think we want to welcome all persons, and we want to not, find some behaviors not acceptable. So we need to clarify that. Persons are welcome, certain behaviors, controlling behaviors, dominating violence, verbal violence, not acceptable. So if people can get clear on those issues, I'm Norma, I'm from Lansing, I'm available to help or advise or training or whatever.
Number 3.
Okay. My church is Unity Church, and we have something called the shared agreements, and after the Facebook drama that was going on, I brought the shared agreements to GA and said, what do you guys think about using these for, to end this problem? And they were thinking, no, we didn't really like it, but it started talking, and Reverend Jeff, who's going to be hosting on the 12th, he's all about this kind of thing because he's Reverend. So he took the bull by the horns, and we, at one of our GAs, we made up covenants, like together. We just took the whole GA just to talk about all the things that we think are important. We just brainstormed, on the chalkboard. And then he took it back and put it into this, and then we voted on it at the next GA. And it's like, it's got like 12 things, to do here, and then it's got core values here. And so we like it. It works for us, and on that.
To me, it seems like you're right on head to head, right on there, or what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Behaviors, oppressive or disruptive behavior should not be tolerated. We're open to everyone. They get a chance to be in a group, and if they start acting the fool, they really can't. And I think that's okay. That's just me speaking personally, not as okay.
Clarifying point though?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my point wasn't that it shouldn't be tolerated. My point was that there's no way to throw them out of the movement.
Yes.
Just that the data are being submitted.
That is an important thing to think about. What we have in our little working group, Occupy Homes in Grand Rapids, is that you have to agree with the points of unity, and then you also have to follow the guidelines for an anti-oppression policy, which is very laid out and explicit. And I have another copy around here somewhere afterwards, so we'll check it out. But it's unwritten in our group, but if someone is causing problems, it's simply you just surround them and tell them why they're being inappropriate, and the group will figure out on a case-by-case basis that if someone needs to get out, then how to do that. But one way that's really easy is you just make sure everyone knows that they're going to confront this individual, and then they all go pee, and then they confront the individual who hasn't just gone pee, and then they leave when they have to go to the bathroom eventually after hours of resisting constants. And then regarding the idea of having a statement or unified goals, I think personally that the state of Michigan, all the occupations and occupiers in it, is probably too big and too diverse a group to nail that down, but I think having at least a code of conduct or something like that would be very good. So that's just my 2 cents. Number 5.
That was me.
You're 5.
Yeah. I like the idea of having principles. I like the idea of hearing what other groups come up with for their principles. I think that would be fascinating to hear. And I wouldn't even mind proposing that folks do that and we read them off to each other at an Inter-Occupy sometime just to compare where all our heads are at. And then possibly we could take out the ones that multiple groups have articulated and possibly use that. The first time Dan mentioned this, I had a bit of a knee-jerk reaction against the one thing we're for is power, restoring power to the people. It seems too constrictive, but really things like gardening can be restoring power to the people. You're taking it out of Monsanto's hands and growing your own food. So lots of the things we're doing really do fall under that one banner. And I guess that's all I wanted to say. Yeah, thanks.
Number 1.
Occupy Lansing's been through a lot of these issues too. We're still grappling with them, and we might have some documents that might be of use to you. If you go to the occupylansing.net site and look under documents or resources up at the top, under documents there's something called the autonomy agreement that might have some help for you about like keeping the Democrats from taking over. And under resources, I don't know if it's there now, but I'm going to make sure it will be in the next couple of days. We've been working on the good neighbor policy, and we have a really good document about that, and I'll make sure it's in the resources. I'm good friends with our webmaster.
Can I a clarifying question about that? When you say good neighbor policy, is that in regards to the way you live your life, so to speak, and deal with your fellow occupiers and people, or is that more because when I saw the good neighbor policy in New York, it was specifically about how to behave when you're occupying in the park.
Exactly.
And I know that Lansing's thinking about doing that. Is that what that's for?
Well, it started, and its core was stuff that we were doing in Looters Park. But the thing we're trying to do is expand it out into our interactions online and just in general assemblies wherever, and just within the movement.
Okay, nice.
So when Occupy Kalamazoo was larger, we had a big board with how the meeting went as well as points of unity. And we brought that to not all, but most of the GAs that were big and put that up. And facilitator read through those. One of them that had to be used was oppressive language will be pointed out. And the very first time that those were all read, we explained, simply we're just going to make note that that is oppressive language or behavior, and then we're going to move on. And there was someone that continued to do it, and it was pointed out by the facilitator and other people, like right as he was talking, just like oppressive language, and that was it. And then afterwards, when some people talked to him about it, he felt really attacked. When other people, he was in the Marine for like 30 years. When other Navy people talked to him, he didn't feel attacked, and he came around and he was like, okay, yeah, totally, I'm on board. So for that, like specifically for like behavior during the meetings, I think that there's a lot of power in like stating that this is how we're going to do it in the beginning, so everyone knows and agrees, and then people can feel able to point it out. And then it's also positive for the people that aren't necessarily being inflicted by that racist, sexist, ableist language. Someone that is able-bodied, white, etc. can point it out. Check.
I got on stack 2. I don't have to get on right away, but go ahead.
Okay, number 5. Number 3 was over here.
And we have already nearing time, FYI.
Yeah.
In our group, we sat down together and we all came up with a list, I guess, of behaviors, how we expect people to behave when we're together as a group or when we're at an action or event of some sort. And we all agreed on those. And we also came up with a declaration of our core values and our principles as a group. What is it we stand for? What is it we're looking to do? And we read those in an inter-occupy. And as far as your second point, what is it we're going to focus on? Everything we do as an occupation related to actions has to be related to at least one of those points in our declaration. And the principles that we operate by as just a group of human beings together involve just general respect for each other and for the group and how we carry ourselves and how we conduct ourselves. And a lot of those are the same as what Occupy Muskegon came up with when the group very first was formed out in the middle of Hackler Park. Regarding language and conduct and what would and wouldn't be tolerated. I saw something from an Occupy group, I think in North Carolina, online not long ago, and they had a problem with someone who repeatedly engaged in inappropriate behavior. Stealing things from the camp and using inappropriate language and showing up drunk and just generally being a pain in the ass. And so they decided as an occupation to do an intervention, I guess you would call it. They had repeatedly asked him not to engage in these behaviors, and he ignored them. So finally they said, okay, we're going to do an intervention. Next time he shows up, we're going to confront him as you would someone with a drug problem, alcohol problem, etc. And that didn't work. He felt attacked and he left. The problem didn't get solved. So the next time he came back, they said, okay, you're going to have another chance, but on this day, we're going to sit down and we're going to solve this problem. And so he came back that day, and they conducted their intervention, and he didn't agree with the things that they were saying, and they said, well, fine, we'll give you a week, you go away for a week, you think about it, come back, tell us how you would like to handle the problem. And he just never came back, and that was how they wound up handling it. They just kind of made it his problem, and so he felt uncomfortable, and he just kept going there.
So we're at time, so I'm going to call for closing the stack or an extension of time.
I'd like to follow with a comment or something if I could. That's all. And
You're already on the stack. We're going to finish out.
So,
I got you.
So, is that good to close the stack if people want to spend time? Okay. Does anyone want to have a, how do you call it, a breakout discussion group post meeting about this? Okay. So we have 3 more on the stack.
Okay, the Justice and Mental Health Organization hosts drop-in centers for persons with mental illness, and they're very good at running very welcoming, open, peaceful places for people with mental illness. And they might also be willing to run trainings. When I first joined Occupy, I saw somebody engaging in unacceptable behavior. He was clearly out of control emotionally, and so some people gently escorted him away so he could chill. And when we interviewed people at a drop-in center for street people that a church runs, their rule was when people behave in unacceptable behavior ways, then they are no longer welcome that day. They continue to be welcome afterwards. And then people who want that to continue exert peer pressure against the individual to behave more socially acceptable ways. I think there's a certain amount of value in creating these academic statements and philosophical statements that we can all agree on in our heads. I think the practical suggestion of let's say this word oppressive language ahead of time so that people feel, because most of us are not comfortable with confronting others when their behavior is unacceptable. And it's very uncomfortable to be the only one in the room who recognizes unacceptable behavior and confronts it. So that's a skill that's learnable, and I'm willing to teach it.
Just a direct response. Another example of that is early on in Occupy Grand Rapids, we have a security team, and part of their job is kind of de-escalation and keeping an eye on next is...
Thanks, yeah, appreciate it. And I appreciate your willingness to consider this, and I know that we all have, in our own groups, decided what is it that we're going to, what kind of rules maybe. And I appreciate your thinking about this anyway. By the way, I heard the statement that just don't believe it is possible with us as diverse as we are to come up with a generalized set of principles. Hell, if AA can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, you won't find a more diverse group than that. You know what? And so I think it is possible. I also think it's extremely important for our own survival. And so I am glad that you're willing to consider this. Now, I will try to clear up something briefly here. I'm not talking about bad language. And I'm not talking about hitting people, that kind of stuff. And I'm not talking about somebody... Here, I'll give you an example. This recently happened in our group. What we had was a couple of members who betrayed our trust. There was an agreement in this case that we were not going to record a meeting We had a guest, and the guest did not want to be recorded, and the thing was recorded, and then that recording became available publicly on the internet somehow. Now this is testing things. Are you going to throw them out? They've definitely betrayed our trust. We can't trust them anymore. And the way we solve that is by saying, okay, well, they're no longer allowed in our working groups. But if we're going to have a GA, like for instance out in the park, how are you going to be able to monitor everybody throwing one of there? As soon as you start cutting lines like that, you say you can't be in our group, you can't be in our movement, it's dangerous. And so anyway, that's a principle that we came up with. There are no membership regulations or restrictions. I want you to consider that one. I want to hear the other ones, but I want you to consider that one. There are no membership regulations or restrictions. And then the other one, of course, is our primary purpose, so we don't get diverted off into something else. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, and then last one, Steph, just say.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little scatterbrained, so I apologize if this is somewhat incoherent. But I think if we do want to do this whole points of unity thing, or Occupy Michigan, or inter-Occupy meetings, or whatever it is we want it to be specifically for, it would be a good idea to, like what was mentioned earlier, to maybe agree that we're all going to have conferences at our next GAs about principles that we're really down with, and then we come back to the next inter-Occupy and talk about it. I think that's one thing we should maybe decide on for sure if we really want to do this. I also think that it should be a relatively short list, like we want to get
Good.
lengthy.
Please.
We just have some broad general principles that we can generally all agree with and are okay with. And I would also, one thing that I would really like to maybe see, just throwing it out there, is a respect for diversity of tactics as something on there. So that's it.
Thanks.
All right, so we're to the point of information to directly kind of respond to your issue. There's a thing or like an idea, it's kind of vague, but called security culture, used by a lot of activist groups to kind of, the idea being that when you have a culture of security, you don't really have to worry about situations like that. Well, in practice, it's obviously a little bit more messy, but like when you're in a public space, being aware that you don't know people around you, so like if you have something that needs to stay secret, just keep your mouth shut until you're around people you trust. There's also vouching systems, like I don't know anyone here, and I'm not going to tell you a lot of things about myself because no one's vouched for you. I don't know you, but that's probably a resource to look into.
Thanks.
And I have a point of information too. Community mental health offer training in least restrictive restraints, respectful ways of treating people who become out of control emotionally. And also, the homeless continuum of care exists in every community. And in Lansing, they found there are 10 times as many homeless people as shelter beds for them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of homeless people have mental illness diagnoses. And some of them have anosognosia, which means they do not know that they have a disability. It's not just denial. It happens to people who have amputations and strokes and blindness, and people with OCD as well.
All right,
so they don't take meds.
We took a temperature check on the clothing stack a few people ago, and we are at 28.5 minutes. It seems like it's a very large issue, and there's a lot of differing opinions, but the ideas that was expressed about everyone thinking about this and hopefully coming prepared with some more concrete ideas or suggestions at the next interoccupational summit would be, I think, probably helpful.
Could I make a proposal or suggestion that we come up with a number for our lists, like our top 3 or something?
So each
Occupy come up with their top 3 principles.
Otherwise, it would be half an hour of us listening to everybody read there.
Temperature check on each Occupy unit?
I didn't want to limit you, make as many as you like, but I think, top 3 at the inter-occupy would be nice.
And the membership regulations, restrictions thing, I'd like you to especially think about that one. Because that's tough.
We should probably think about everything that was said, because it was not a dull moment during this agenda item.
So each Occupy points of unity?
Points of unity / code of conduct / rules regulations / bylaws /
Yeah, betray trust.
Right. So that is it for our agenda. I had something else I wanted to add, but we can also close to people. I want to do a checkout of how this retreat went, of what works well for inner-occupied, of what we should do better next time.
Can I get a little harder to find?
But do people want to do that? I didn't add it at the beginning.
Sure.
People,
Can I just say too that
can I get an affirmation if that's okay?
Check it for 5 minutes.
I'll post this video online too, and I don't know if anyone was taking minutes, but it'll be up, and I'll share it around the various Occupy pages, so you can look back at it.
Does anyone else have anything else to add? Cool. On that, we're good.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
I can jot it. So let's start with what went well and what to do better next. Then we follow. So if you have statements, try to clump them together. What you think went well and what should be done better next time. And this is where really twinkling is really helpful.
Yeah.
This place. I think this place went very well. People are extremely friendly to us and receptive, and they've been generous with us as well. And the food was good.
Coffee's good.
I love your Occupy the Home sketch. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, thanks. Okay. Yep. And I want to thank you again. I think everything did go well. I got to admit that bringing up something like this here with the principals is a little bit awkward and uncomfortable. And I know it must be to listen to too, because it isn't predictable. This isn't something like finding a schedule or something like that. So you don't expect to be talking about something, touchy-feely or something like that. And I appreciate your being so willing and welcoming of that sort of thing. And so I appreciate putting up with me. Okay, thanks.
I really like schedules. I like when there's a schedule made up beforehand. And also, I think the learn shops could have used agendas items.
Oh, yeah.
Like agendas of what goes on at the learn shop. And I really love using this space. And I think if we can afford it, we should try to use it again in the autumn.
Good.
But I think we should all petition for it. Because it's not expensive, but...
I need that one person did one.
Yeah.
Well, we're
I
doing
was
both.
clumping them.
Yeah, you can do either.
I'm
Just
gonna
waiting for the numbers.
Well, thank you, Chris, for putting. You put a lot of work into
Yeah.
this, and the space is totally rad.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff going on. It was good. I guess my only thing would be maybe just a better schedule. But yeah, that's it.
One of the things I really liked about it, I've been at a few other inner-occupies, but the way you put the time limit on, it kind of got a consensus 20 minutes. You guys really stuck to that, and I haven't seen it at any of the other inner-occupies I've been to.
You were on tight ship. 2, 3.
I think it would have been kind of nice if something like in the first day when everyone's here, if there was an introductory thing, so we stopped being strangers earlier, and so this is kind of how I'm getting to know everyone, and kind of just feel a little late from that. Shoot, I forgot my positive.
Does someone know where the Detroit woman is? So that
She would.
Oh.
I just want future occupied stuff, these things.
I really liked
yesterday when we were all by the campfire and the sauna. I think that was a really good like migration, like in the nighttime to there, because it was like a different, like a change in like scenery, and like I feel like everyone kind of got a little closer there last night, and I think
real close.
Actually, really, like, it was really full. Like we were pretty close, but also maybe when we first get here, if we could like maybe all go out and like actually see all the things at this camp that make it so great. Because I kind of learned like kind of behind the scenes that like, oh, they do this on their own, and oh, they do this on their own. It's quite incredible like how sustainable this like camp has become, and I think I would like to kind of go around and just kind of appreciate lots of the buildings and the gardens. I saw a compost pile, maybe like a fort back there, and some, I don't know, just really interesting. So I think it would be a cool, take like a really nice tour with everybody, get to know everybody good well.
I'd just like to say thank you to the camp and Occupy Kalamazoo and Chris and anybody who helped organize this. I'm having a great time. I always feel like when I first go somewhere, especially because a lot of the folks from Occupy Muskegon that I work with every day were not here in the beginning. And so, you know, you go somewhere and you've seen some faces before, but you don't really know anyone. And, you know, I think the sauna, or how do you say it, the sauna, really did, it was a nice bonding experience, and it's fun, and it takes a little while to warm up to people you don't know. And I'm sad to, now that I'm talking more with folks, to have to say goodbye so soon. So I really love the camp, and I'm going to look into bringing my own kids here. And I hope that if we can do this in the fall or any time in the future, we might be able to find a way to do it for a few more days. You know, 3-4 days would be great, or 4 or 5 days. I mean, because I feel like we're just getting started, really, you know.
Just a suggestion for future, well, anything really. Maybe have some mechanism to take, if people have requests for a skill or a topic they'd like to learn or know more about, that could be interesting, because like a lot of people don't think that like what they do is important or special, and like would be surprised to know that a lot of people would love to learn about that. Whether that's how to use Twitter or how to break out of handcuffs or whatever.
Or do both at the same time.
Yeah.
Process I've seen for that works really well is a group meeting in the beginning, and people say what workshops they want to have, or like that they would like to someone to teach them.
And then the second thing is just that this camp kind of like sets a perfect example. Like this camp's kind of doing what Occupy's doing. They're like living out the kind of world that we kind of all want to be living in, where you know things are renewable and sustainable and cool.
Just speaking on behalf of the camp, it was great having the Occupy here, and I think you wanted to come back again. We'd love to make that work and try to make it work even better. We'd love to be able to show you around the place and tell you more about Circle Pines too. And you guys are all welcome to come out for any of our other events we got going on. One big thing we've got coming up that you guys might want to participate in is our Buttermilk Jamboree. It's a big music festival we just started last year, and it's more than that because we want to have workshops and things and teach people about different things that are going on or things they might be interested in. And almost all the workshops that went on today would be perfect for that setting too, that I think there would be people interested in that. So if anybody has any ideas of workshops or booths or things like that we have at the festival, would be nice. And if you guys want to do another Occupy thing, our fall's pretty well booked up if you want weekends, but weekdays are open, but you know, we can talk about other dates for winter or the spring or something like that. So it's really, really great having you here. I think the hardest thing for us was having to charge people for meals, and not everybody could afford it, and if we could figure out a way to supplement that somehow next time around, it would make it a lot easier for everybody.
When is the Buttermilk Jamboree?
Oh, sorry, June 8 to 10.
It's right behind you on the wall. That's 2011, it says. Oh.
Yeah, that's last year's, but it's the same weekend, it's just 2 days different. There's brochures and flyers over here about all the events in 2011.
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to say that I appreciated the thing about the pronouns and gender identity. I think it's something our language doesn't really have space for, is people that identify in between genders. And having a lot of friends that go through struggles with that. And it's nice to see. I know a lot of people giggle because it's kind of weird still, but it's nice to like have that be more mainstream. That like that is an issue for a lot of people. So thank you.
I think it'd be better if we were more organized about the like late night events, because I didn't know there was a fire going on, and like I heard about it from someone way later than it started, and just if we could like put it on the board, like, you know, sauna and fire, come down to the lake. So just kind of publicize what's going on after dark, as well as we publicize workshops. Be helpful.
Can I make a proposal that we go heat up the sauna?
Can I make a proposal for maybe like a yoga meditation, like I don't know, and then the sauna like kind of thing going on, and I stargazing too.
Do yoga and sauna.
Yoga,
Yeah.
So, sorry.
I think at the beginning of the Occupy weekend, we should find the meanest, most nastiest person at Occupy and have them enforce times. So that, you know,
That'll be you.
People don't just blab on and on and on. It's a wonderful topic. You know, I think I'll go on for 5 hours. And, it's just really hard. And also, hold a second, what she said, it was too much like, oh, I'm in the know that we're doing this thing down here and you don't, so we don't need you, kind of thing. I thought it was very clumsy.
That was just kind of what people were given. It wasn't like a plan.
Right.
Can you also add when you talk the schedule for tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow we have from we have breakfast at 8:30 to 9. It's 9:30. 8:30 to 9:30, and then after that we just had a little bit of free time for everybody to chill out, and then it was just pretty much a reflection on the camp. So it was pretty. We did all the teachings today.
We still haven't made up all our seed bombs.
I thought we had planned to have a little service in the morning, a from the heart service.
The reflection. Yeah, reflection.
Reflections on the future. Like that, the future we'd like to described it, I thought maybe it's a free time. That's not the thing.
Well, there's some free time and then a reflection.
Can someone describe really briefly what that is, so we all know?
Okay,
It's a informal service tomorrow morning. Maybe we'll sit in silence for a few minutes. That was suggested. And then people could speak from the heart on whatever moved them to speak about.
Just a planning process. Does anyone want to get on the stack to talk about things we can do, things that were good or things that could have been done better before we on the stack?
I'd like to know how many people are staying for that tomorrow, that reflection.
So, I guess,
Where will it be?
So does anyone else want to get on the stack to talk about that, or should we move on to like announcements and figuring out the rest of the evening and tomorrow? Okay.
Well, I thought everything was fabulous here this evening. I would have liked to have a little bit more of the schedule online a little bit sooner. And then it was kind of confusing because it said in the schedule it was going to be breakfast and lunch and then no dinners, and I thought that was odd. So we kind of planned for that coming up today, that there would be no dinner and then there was a dinner. It would be good to know exactly what's going on.
That, I'll speak, can I speak? That wasn't planned.
Oh, okay.
That was a gift.
Thank you.
From Circle Pines.
Very
nice.
Thank you.
You guys did it.
Well, yeah, but you still provided the labor for us. It wasn't on the schedule.
Yeah. Well, there's some of our staff that were also hard occupied. They volunteered their time.
Which is a gift.
I forgot to say that with the last little statement, and I just wanted to reiterate that again to you guys, because a lot of the planning that did go right is definitely a lot with Circle Pine. So just I want to make sure that you guys are aware how helpful.
So I guess is there any announcements?
I thought of one thing. Maybe something we could do in the future is organize carpooling a little bit more efficiently. Like maybe even create a specific group, like emailing chain or Google group or something where we get together and organize carpooling for events such as this.
Just a helpful note. One thing I've seen used in the past is like Grand Rapids, for example, creating a Facebook group for Grand Rapids to the thing, and then whoever wants to go says they're attending, and then work it out that way.
Like a Facebook invite, we had that.
Well, specifically for ride sharing.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay.
Is there any?
Just another thing about tonight. I don't know if there's anybody here that doesn't have a place to sleep tonight that wants to spend the night here. Okay. If there is anybody, let me or Chris or somebody know. We got that covered?
I think, a couple of people dropped off, so we should be good.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe an extra blanket if there is one here.
I've got a onesie jumpsuit that's like
Yeah.
I need one of those.
So does anyone have any announcements?
Sorry.
I have a big thing of canvas that's rolled up next in the back porch. Take as much as you want, or the whole roll for making banners.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was mentioned. Somebody mentioned that they thought the NATO protest would be on the 19th. It was actually moved to Sunday, the 20th of May. There was, you know about G8 by now. The permit for the 20th was actually denied by Chicago's government, but they're still going to be doing it because their excuse was that they didn't have the police militarization that they would have needed. Even though it was better.
Do you know him? Do you know who he is? I don't.
The guy speaking? No. I mean, I think he's been around all weekend, but I don't know his name.
I do actually have a little announcement going by that. I think some of the people heard this already, but we're researching some stuff with Kalamazoo City right now. It sounds like there's a loophole in our transit where if you're a nonprofit organization, you can rent out public transportation for field trips. And so we're trying this out on NATO, and we're going to see how much bus room we can get to organize a trip to NATO on Kalamazoo public transport.
Yes.
I have
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I just want to make mention of the fact there's been a lot of things going on at Occupy Lansing, and there's some reports out there that maybe it doesn't even exist anymore. Just want to let you know that report of our device has been greatly exaggerated. OccupyLansing.net.
Good.
All right,
My name.
So we are.
What?
We are the 99%. Woo!